We talk about a lot of different stuff. Today's podcast is going to be about the corporate structures versus how we kind of operate and what we kind of
Right.
do, and kind of our principles as far as why we did what we did, and why I think there's going to be a lot of businesses that are copying us, Dean. I'll let you go ahead and start off.
Well, let's kind of talk about the first thing you said, Rob. Um, first off, we don't have a sales staff because it's hard to
No.
get, and that's the difference between us and a lot of people. That's how we keep our prices low. That also means is why we don't do the phone calls. We do everything by email and chat because it provides a better, if you will, following connecting the dots and making sure that we're answering their questions right. But when you're in the corporate world, you have to have all these people trained. They have to stay within certain branding techniques. Not that we don't, that's why we don't have a sales staff because we'd have to train everybody because we have certain requirements for our look, our brand, if you will. And that's why you and I do everything. But that allows us a lot more freedoms to really talk about some things and get out there and get in front of people on a different, on a more casual level like we're doing right now. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think that's extremely important. I think that's extremely exactly what we have is stacked up that makes us very unique. If we brought a sales staff in, we'd have to worry that they weren't lying to you. We'd have to worry about them being high pressure. We'd have to then charge more because now we have to pay commissions on top of that. What we've done is we've created a company using AI, using technology to be able to build our company up to where we can make massive amounts of change for our business and help them get found, so they can survive and thrive inside of any economy pretty much to be able to do that. But we did it to where we don't have a bunch of staff, to where then you get to talk to you and I as a co-founder, which is extremely important. I mean, it's a business owner to business owner, chat. We can solve those problems. We remember what we talked about last time, and if we screw up, it's you and I screwing up as far as the
Right.
customer piece is.
Right, and here's the other
I
thing, we
screw
screwed
up.
up yes remember we screwed up yesterday on something, and we owned up to it. We said, "Hey, we messed up. We did that wrong. That's on us. We made the mistake. We apologize for it, and
Yep.
we move forward." I mean, because it isn't perfect. It isn't, and that's what makes us so unique. And plus, we're small business owners ourselves. We're currently small. When I say small business, we're entrepreneurial because not just because you're a one or two person shop doesn't mean you're a small business. It means that physically you're a small business because of the way definition works on small business. But we're business owner to business owner discussions. I mean,
Yep.
and we talked about chat. And we talked about the early days we used to do phone calls. We don't do phone calls anymore. That's hard for some business owners. But the problem is we can handle and talk to more people and get and solve more solutions for people. And some of the people that were with us, some of the members that were with us early, they were used to us having conversations. We learned a lot from that, but we don't do that anymore just because this is a better format for us to share information.
And if you want to have a conversation and ask all your questions, come join us on a podcast, and we'd love
Oh
to be able
yeah.
to go through it and share that information because we use every piece of information for being able to do it. It's one of those things to where that's kind of where that piece went to. Um, when you talk about small business, so back when I did my venture capital days and I was in the corporate world and doing everything I did there, I mean, you had business people making decisions that went to, I'm gonna call it an Ivy League school, because that's what I always referred to it as. But I mean, you have all these guys that are making these decisions. They don't know what it's like for that business owner that's on the ground, wearing multiple hats, doing multiple things because they've never had to do it. And when you get companies like Yext and their CEOs making millions of dollars and doing everything they're doing, for one, it's because they're selling a lot. For two, it's because of a corporate structure. So that means that they can't pivot as strong as what we can. We see a change in the market, a new search engine comes out, a new way that's happening. We can pivot and add that into our systems to make it a lot faster turnaround. There's not as much hierarchy inside of that. I mean, you and I get to make that decision. There's times that we've made changes to our algorithm because it had to change it that day. And
Yeah.
we're like, that's going to be a huge area. Let's go ahead. Let's get that entered in. I mean, that's what we want to be able to offer. So we operate as that small business for small business versus being a big corporation, trying to fit a small business into what we built for the rest of our big corporation friends. Now, don't get me wrong, we can still work with big corporations, we can work
Oh
with
yeah,
franchises, we can work with marketing agencies, and we do. But
right,
it's one of those things to where we operate as that small business. And most of those corporations, I think, Dean, absolutely love the fact that we operate as a small business because we aim for the actual results that are going to matter versus what doesn't matter.
right. I agree with you 100% on that. So, but you know, but we're real business owners as well, and that's what gives us unique perspective. Not that the other people don't understand business, but we understand the challenges of the local business, having a small staff, that kind of thing. But we you know our staff is great. They're very responsive. They're quick, and when we ask for something, it happens pretty quick for us. You know,
We have the
because
best
they're
of the best.
yeah, you know, and so but the big thing is we're here, you know, we're with you. We're you know we're part of what you're doing, and because I manage two other businesses besides working with this one with you, and you have some other businesses as well, and so we get
Yep.
that whole piece that there's only so many hours in the day, and there's things that you got to do, and get that information out there. That's why we're here to support you and help you answer questions because you may not have the time to do the research to for certain parts of the digital marketing world.
Well, I think that's a good point to what our marketing coaching piece is. To where if you have a question, if someone makes a phone call into you and says, "Hey, you should buy this," or "You're not being found inside of voice search," or "You're not doing that," and you have a question on it, hit up your marketing coach on chat. So just chat us up and say, or send us an email and say, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And we'll give you your opinion. And
Right,
if we don't know the answer, we're going to go out and we're going to do some research on it and figure it out. Or we'll come in and have a group conversation and go, all right, how would we look at that? Do we think it has value? What's the pros? What's the cons? What's everything that's in between? Plus, we have some of the biggest data sets out there to be able to go and find out certain pieces. We can look at data like no other and see what's working, what's not working, and do research, especially with having our data science team.
I agree with you 100% on that, Rob. We're kind of the biggest small guy out there.
Well, I mean, I think
But
that's probably what makes us so unique, Dean, is the
yeah,
fact that we are a small business. We operate as a small business, but we have extremely big power. I think some of our software tools are more powerful than the big boys that are out on the market. I mean,
right,
and we even got told that we couldn't be part of their network, that we would never survive because we weren't part of their big boy network.
right, exactly. And so, you know, and I love analogies, as you well know. And it's kind of like the Thanksgiving Day table. You know, you sit with the adults, or you sit with the kids. I sit with the kids because it's
Kids
more
all day.
fun. There's no, it's just more fun. It's interactive, and it isn't. You have to, you know, the forks on the right or the left or whatever. I know all those etiquette rules, but I don't care. I'd rather eat with the kids, or you know. And so I think that us not sitting at the table with the established, and I'll use the term big boys. uh, It's allowed us to be have a lot more freedom to have a little more fun with the whole thing.
And really, we should call it Big Boys and Queens because when we got told we couldn't do what we were doing and we weren't going to be able to operate in this way because we weren't going to go use what everybody was using. Because you got to remember, inside of the world of marketing, everybody's tied together. Google's talking to Bing, Bing's talking to Yelp. Everybody's tied together. So you can look at all big money. They all group together. They're all talking to one another. They're on their yachts and doing all this different shit. I've been on some of those yachts. I've been on some of those boats and some of those meetings in my career, and that's just not the place that I want to. I necessarily want to play. I want to be able to play with a small business owner that, they're worried about how they're going to pay their staff tomorrow, not not worried about how am I going to afford my new $1 million boat.
That's so real though. But and everybody for themselves. I mean, there's places for them. Our places with the small business people, and we really do
It
have
is.
a mental understanding because we've been there. We've worried about that payroll. We've worried about cash flow. I mean, everybody does. Every business does. But the small business owner, it's we call it the runway, your cash flow runway, if you will. is different for small business owners because they don't have the reserves, they don't have the income that comes in, and so that's why we keep our prices where we are, and that's why we're upfront about it. So you know exactly what you're going to get as well. And we've talked about this before. We're one of the few people out there that really just say, "Here's our pricing. This is what you get for it," and making sure that the small business owner knows the value.
Well, and I think that's a very important piece. I think just knowing that the values there, the fact that you're not stuck in a contract that you're month to month, you can go through and you can just rock and roll it is very important. And that we're focused on real results. And one thing that's really kind of unique about us, I've never really thought about, Dean, is the fact that we are small business for small business, but that also allows us to understand the consumer as well. So when we look at data sets, I constantly look at how customers are searching, what tools they're using, how they're doing it. And a lot of that's changed over the last 4 or 5 years for how people are searching and finding businesses. For one, you have all the different age brackets, you have all this political shit that's going on like crazy. It's changed the world of how your business is being found. It's not like back in the day where you pulled out your yellow pages and it was done. And I know that's course cliche or whatever the hell that word is. Um,
Cliche is
but
the right word. You got it.
it didn't sound right when I was saying it in my head. So I almost said crochet. And that just totally screwed me up. But it's one of those things to where yeah, it used to be where that yellow page guy came in, that thrifty nickel, that tidbits guy came in and wanting to sell you that ad spot, and there was print dates, and you have to remember that all that is combined. But when a small business wants to be able to get themselves found, or any business wants to get themselves found, it's that data that's really going to matter and make it to where they want to stick out.
Yep, no, I agree with you. So, but I, I think that's really kind
Yep.
of where I'm at with the whole thing today. Unless there's something else you want to talk about, because this is our
Nope,
casual
that's good for
travel.
today. Let's go ahead and let's get started. And if you ever want to join us on one of these podcasts, reach out, let us know. If you are looking to get your business found and reach more local customers, check us out at simplybefound.com. My name is Rob. I'm one of the co-founders.
I'm Dean, and I'm the other guy
All
that
right, let's do it.
doesn't get on YouTube as much as you do. All right, have a great day.
You too.